Hello everybody, welcome into my channel, GuiVGC here, and today we are going to do something very nice, something very interesting. It's going to be me commentating my own replays of some matches that I've played over the weekend and at the tournament that I won. I won't be able to do the finals because the finals we had a couple of issues with the stream, so I lost a lot of the recording that I made, so I won't be able to do that. But I'll do the top four, for example, or the top eight, depending which ones it is. But for this one, I decided to pick this one because it's a pretty much a 6v6 mirror. It's a 5 out of 6 mirror match. The only difference is the grass type of choice, which on my opponent's end was an Among Us, and on my end it was a Reliable. Okay, so I'll start really quickly by what the team preview for me was. Basically, what I decided to do is I knew that he would need to bring a developer sooner than later, so I decided to leave it with my bridge, and because in his team there is nothing that really threatens a no-call on my King Gambit, I decided to go with King Gambit as well. I don't need to bring my own developer because I have Power Herb on my bridge. For the ones at the back, Benz definitely is more of a call of I need to have stab into Among Us. Something that can match opponent's the tailwind from the Mensa's end, and something that can put pressure on the Archaludon. Keep in mind the Among Us on my opponent's team is Terra Fairy. So the game will start over here, and we lead. And while I led the Archaludon and King Gambit, my opponent decides to lead with the Archaludon and the Pelipper. He instantly switches out the Pelipper. What I locked in for this turn was I decided to go for E-Shot on the Pelipper slot in case Salamence, not Salamence, in case something that doesn't resist E-Shot decides to switch in. And I decided to just go for Sword Dance because even body press at this stage won't do enough damage because it's not a stab, and 80 base power move is not that strong. So I'll lock it in, and while he decides to switch out the developer, he switches it out um, for the Amogus. Amogus comes in. It's gonna take like 25 to 30%. Here is a moment where I was like, okay, what is going on? Because Archaludon don't often go max speed. And this is max speed models, which we came to realize that those two Archaludons here are speed time. So here comes the turn. He gets a lot of damage into my King Gambit, but it's completely fine. When I notice he is modest max speed, I know he definitely doesn't have a lot of defensive EVs into his team. So here, what I decide to do is just Sucker Punch. Since I am Goggles on King Gambit, I don't have to worry about Spore, I don't have to worry about Rage Powder. My Sucker Punch is always going to connect. And I decide to lock in Draco into that save slot in case something comes. He decides to switch out the Archaludon, and I punish something with a full power Draco. Oh, I thought I actually decided to Draco the Among Us, but looking back, putting pressure on something that will come in, for example, a men's not a men's, but like putting pressure on. Let me go back into his team real quick. Because Mens is never coming in here, but putting pressure, for example, on a potential Basculegion switch, another Pelipper switch in just to protect the Archaludon. Basculegion is rarely gonna come in, or put pressure on a maybe a King Gambit switch in. It's still going to take a lot of damage from a Draco Meteor, so that's what I decided to do. And in the worst case scenario, if it does decide to Rage Powder, which happens, the Draco is going to get redirected. Here, my opponent said he misread the team sheet. He thought it was Glasses King Gambit, not Goggles. That's why he went for the Rage Powder. But I still don't. But they still should have terrored the Among Us into Fairy, otherwise they wouldn't die over here. Uh, Archelon gets a second electro shot. He kills the King Gambit, which is completely fine because King Gambit did a lot of his job, which is put a lot of pressure early in the game. It took Archerdon down to like 5, maybe 10 HP at the most. We killed the Among Us. Now he needs to bring something in. Now my line of thought is Among Us is down. If he has King Gambit at the back, this is really bad to bring in the demands. But if he decides to bring in Mens or Pelipper, I need to get the wind up. I need to get the wind up for in case he brings Pelipper because I don't want to be risking speed ties, and I know that because I want to get the wind up so I don't risk a speed tie when I'm trying to kill the Archaludon. Because I think my opponent will most likely have the Salamence at the back as well. So if you bring Pelipper, I get my Tailwind up, I get another Electro Shot on the Archaludon, it dies. Pelipper is able to do something, but this something is not gonna be enough to kill neither of my mons. And both the Pelipper and the Mens are Stellar Terra, so I can always kill them whenever I want to. So after this, once I get the wind up, I have Archelodon that is faster than the Mens. I will be able to Draco the Mens, and I'm going to be able to break the Sash on the Pelipper. So in the end, I can just come in, or do the other way around, go for a Draco on the Mens slot, and then he shot the Pelipper. If my Mens dies in the process, or something like this happens, I get my Rillaboom for free. It's a 2v1 against a Pelipper, I always win. This is a game say where I only lose if I get RNG'd, and you will see that coming up in a play that I go for later on. Especially because he brings now the Mens. Let me skip this through. He gets a Mens in. Now, here's the game state. My Mens got the Intimidate first, so we are not sure still if we are speed dying or if I am faster because my opponent is not max speed, because it's not modded, because it's modest rather than timid. We don't know. So here's my line of thought. Okay, I need to get rid of this Archalodon. It's +2. It already has +1 on the stamina, and if I can't let it get it out of hand. We don't know which elements is faster yet. So what I decide to do is, okay, if he decides to click Tailwind here, this Archaludon is either gonna bring this into Sash or is gonna kill my Drop Draco. If he decides to kill my Drop Draco, my Mans I should say, if he decides to kill my Mans, I get to kill over here 1/3 of Tailwind down. We're both sending our last mons. My last mon is a what's his name? Is a Rillaboom, and then it's a bit of a tricky spot. Because I can fake out and I can go for like an E-shot and he like can just double protect. But then the problem is, as long as I have study on my arch, I need to call protects correctly and try to double up the left slot with glide. So basically what I would have to do if he gets a wind up and kills this is bring in my Rillaboom, fake out E-shot, and then probably for a protect on my left slot with the bridge because I need to have study because I need to kill the Pelipper. Oh, sorry, break the Focus Sash on the Pelipper. So the next turn I can kill the Pelipper with another glide because we know that I live the Hurricane with Terra flying. He's Stella, so he would need to Terra Stella to kill my Rillaboom. And then in that case, it just dies to E-shot. Easy game. Well, not easy, but because I still probably would have to stall out a turn of like at the last turn of Tailwind, and then I kill the Pelipper. If he decides to Draco any of the slot, if he decides to Draco here, I kill the bridge, we get Rillaboom in for free. And then he doesn't have Tailwind and I have Fake Out available. What happens is he needs to spend a turn to click Tailwind while I'm putting pressure with my bridge. And +2 bridge kill with E-Shot kills the Salamence. So if he decides to Draco this slot, there's still even better chance for me to win the game. Now, if he decides to double the bridge, with like Draco and E-Shot, because I click Tailwind, he's not gonna be able to get the double. I can always Draco this slot on the right, and then my bridge is applying is breaking Pelipper Sash for the Rillaboom in the back to go and get the kill. So this is why I decided to lock in the Tailwind and the Electro Shot in this case. And we're going to see later on. Let me double check when, because it around here, that I actually win the speed tie. If it was a speed tie, I win the speed tie, and I get the Electro Shot into the left slot. And if I recall correctly, he went for a Draco on my bridge. Let me I can't fully recall this game, so let's double check what happens. And he Hurricanes my left slot. Okay, so he gets good damage in. Hold up, let me change this real quick. Hold up. And then as we see, this is the best case scenario. He Hurricanes the left slot. We take a good chunk of damage, and here comes a last small, which is the Pelipper. Now, what happens in here is I am almost guaranteed winning the game. The only way that I lose is if I miss a move on this Mens. On the Mens, it doesn't, and because I'm missing a move on the Mens, it's gonna be able to set up a Tailwind, it's gonna be able to drop a Draco. So what I decide to do is to just double up with Draco, with double Draco. And in here, you guys are going to see he goes for a double protect, which is not wrong, but it comes to show that I am prioritizing a lot killing the Mens, because the Mens just walls all the Rillaboom in the back. I can't quite touch it. So that's why I decided to double with a Draco on the Mens, because I know Hurricane is not gonna quite get the kill, and I decided to go for the E-Shot. Which, and now I just pretty much repeat the same turn, because if Draco misses, I at least get the E-Shot up. He's gonna try to go for the double protect, which is correct. If you got the double protect in there, I think it's completely fine, because I can always fake out the left slot and try to Draco again. If I miss the Draco, if I miss the Draco, then it is what it is. But I think playing to like the odds of him getting a double is lower than missing a Draco. So looking back, I probably should have not doubled that slot. He's gonna miss this double protect, but looking back into it, after he double protect with both ones, I should just click Draco into E-Shot, because then I still have study on my Archelodon, and I know E-Shot is gonna kill it. So this is what I should have done on this third, but because I connected Draco, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna skip forward a little bit to game 2 over here, which, being honest, I lock in the exact same mounts. I lock in the same leads, I lock in the same 2 mounts at the back, because I know those are probably the best options that I can have into this matchup. I have my double spore immunity. I have something that can I have mons that can touch all of his mons. There's nothing that gets hard walled except for the Rillaboom into the Salamence. So I decided to go in, and he leads differently. He leads the Salamence with the Among Us. Here I'm like, okay, these are definitely not the. This is a very neutral lead. Archodon can fire off an E-shot, it can do. But what I decide to do is I call my opponent to spawn my left slot, and because I'm +1, what I'm thinking here is Terra Dark Sucker Punch should def. I'm not sure if Dark non-Terra Dark Sucker Punch kills the Mans. I still haven't clocked it yet, but I'll do this shortly. So I'm like, I'll Terra Dark and I'll Sucker Punch. Because +1 Terra Dark Sucker Punch, it should kill Mans. While yes, it has good bulk because it's like a more offensive build, it probably doesn't have as much investment on it. But as you guys are going to see that the Sucker Punch is going to fail because he decides to click Tailwind. Now this becomes a bit of an interesting game state because he also decides to withdraw the the Among Us. He brings in the bridge, so in here a lot of things are gonna happen. I Terra Dark, I try to go for the Sucker Punch, but spoiler, it's gonna fail because he's gonna click Tailwind. So now he has speed control for what is probably going to be the rest of the match. Now I have Fake Out Pressure into the Mans or into the. I don't really want to fake out the Archelon slot because I don't want to give it, start giving it stamina boosts. So what I think is he's probably going to switch in Pelipper in here. I want to get U-turn off, get my repositioning going. I'm gonna break the sash on the Pelipper, and I'm going to get to +3. Because we saw that it was a potential roll to kill the Archelon with no stamina boost with his spread. And this is what I do. I go for the U-turn. I will break the focus sash while my opponent goes for the electroshock on my King Gambit, which is completely fine because I get sources up. He doesn't crit me, which is, best case scenario. He doesn't crit. My Rillaboom breaks the sash, goes for the U-turn. Now here, I was very debating between getting Mans or getting the bridge up. I can't remember what I went. Okay, I went with the Mans. Okay, so basically what I'm thinking is, I can bet she's taking a win now. I know that my Mans move first twice against his Mans. So what I'll do is, I'll say if I am actually faster, I'm gonna apply this pressure of I actually am faster than he is. So I decide to lock in my Tailwind and I decide to Sucker Punch the Archodon slot. It's a +1. It doesn't want to. It's like there's no. He can't take the bait of like, yeah, I can just protect and try to fire off another E-shot. Or he can just read the Sucker Punch, switch out, get something in while I get my Tailwind up. Also is not ideal because if I decide to go for Sucker Punch on the Pelipper slot and it decides to attack, it's really bad because he is gonna switch out Amon and see Amon of him dying for free, so decides to stay in. That's for the Sucker Punch. And then Pelipper is gonna go next, is gonna click Hurricane into the King Gambit, which is dying, and then I'm going to be able to match my Tailwind with him. King Gambit both games was really good to put pressure on the field and be able to deal faster with the Archaludon. And here comes the bridge, because I got rid of his bridge, so the only Pokemon that could be faster than my bridge is the Salamence, and because I just matched my Tailwinds, if he brings the Salamence, he probably is gonna die to a Draco because he now thinks he's definitely slower. I still think it's a speed tie. So what I decided to do here is just lock in my Hurricane and Electroshot. Both of them on the. I can't remember if I doubled the Among Us, because I wanted to cover Among Us not going for the Terra and Among Us going for the Terra. Okay, I decided to actually lock into the Pelipper. So what I'm probably reading here is Among Us is just not going to Terra and is gonna die. But I don't see the reason why. Let me think this for a little bit. If he Terras and Rage Powders, that is definitely something that can happen. He can also Spore in here. He decides not to Terra. So he just. Maybe he doesn't know that Life Form Hurricane guarantees killing Among Us. This is what I would assume may happen because Among Us always lives. Just give an idea. Timid max special attack. Salamence and the Pelipper hit roughly the same stat. I think it's just one. I think Mans has like one stat point difference between Modest Pelipper and Max Special Attack Timid and Max Special Attack Timid. So the Life Orb gets the calc in there in this case. And in here is very simple. I think I go to check Tailwind turns right now, but because there's one turn of Tailwind left, I decide not to. I decided to just say I am faster. He can't, and I still have a Mon on the back, which is the Rillaboom, which can always kill the Pelipper once rain is down. So I just had to click the Draco Meteor, it connects, and then the E-Shot gets the kill. But what I should have done if there were more than I should have checked for Tailwind turns. But I can go back. It was turn one Tailwind, and then there was turn two with the Sword Dance on King Gambit, turn three Sacred Perpetual King Gambit, turn four. Yeah, this was a last turn, so I probably should have played safe and clicked Double Protect, and then click the Draco into Electro Shot in this turn. But yeah, this and then my opponent just yeah, that's it. He decides not to protect. So my Archalodon just is going to kill the Pelipper this turn, and that will be game over. Now on to our next match. Alright, so in our next match over here, well, we have Blazebeat Taurus, Rillaboom, Assault Vest, King Gambit with the Swords Dance Black Goggle set, this one. It is Gloss's King Gambit actually. I just went to double check. By the way, this is my top 4 match of the tournament, the Pokefolk tournament. This Dragapult is Tri-Spender with Terra Ghost. This is Leftovers, Calm Mind Primarina, and the Vivillon is Focus Edge with Ferngard. For those who don't know, Vivillon basically plays off a Sash Among Us. It has Rage Powder, it has Pollen Puff, it has Sleep Powder, so it is inaccurate, but it also launches Tailwind, which can be very big into this matchup. Because the only Mon that I have on my team that can match a Tailwind is the Mens. Yes, the Mens is faster than the Vivillon, but outside of that, I don't want my Basque Legion to get outsped. I don't want my Charlodon to be the Ultron already gets outsped, so it doesn't really matter. So in that case, but I don't want him to get the wind up because once he gets the wind up, he gets a lot of advantage because as you can see, he has Dragapult, which is faster than my entire team, unless Basque Legion in the rain. Vivillon itself outspeeds everything but the Mens and the Basque Legion in the rain. So this was speed time of Salamence. So, I don't want the win to get up. So this is actually a little bit of a scary matchup. I decided to lead King Gambit because he actually is clear Amulet on the Blazebeat Taurus. I have a feeling he is not going to lead King Gambit into this matchup. So I decided to lead the Mens over here. I will bring up a Breach, of course, and the Pelipper. Those are the ones that I bring. I have a feeling that he will be bringing Dragapult to the matchup, so I want to have Sucker Punch. I want King Gambit as well to be all round because it has Goggles for this Sleep Powder and Rage Powder. into Primarina, plus if I can force it to Terra, plus 2 Sucker Punch does a massive amount of damage because it's Terra Grass. If it does bring his King Gambit, I can use my King Gambit to try break through my opponent's King Gambit. And Rillaboom is just really good at walling the cross moves from the Rillaboom. The only thing that I need to be aware of is the Taurus because CC is just gonna murder this King Gambit. So those should be the 4 that lock in. I don't think I changed anything. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, I spent some time thinking if I should change the order, but those are the ones that I'm gonna be locking in guaranteed. So into the lead matchups, Rilla with the Blaze Beat Taurus, as I both ones are base 100 speed as we know, so I learned straight away he is max speed Jolly Taurus. There are a lot of things that can happen here. He can go for fake out right CC, so I decide to just take it safe, protect, and I decide to click Hurricane into the Taurus. Yes, I know it's gonna be 70% accurate, but I have a big feeling that if it tries to do that, even if I take some fake out chip, it's not gonna be the chip that's gonna matter. And if it decides to go for any other kind of play that is not that, I'm fine. If it decides to go for another like a hard read of me swapping out and going with like double up into my what's his name, my Pelipper, for example, which is what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to bring Pelipper in. It's gonna take a bit of spoiler alert. It's gonna take quite a bit of chip from the close combat. Is I think what I lock into. I can't fully remember right now what he locked into. But here I'm really debating if I want to just get the kill on the Rillaboom or if I want to get get the kill on the Rillaboom or go for the big damage on the Taurus. Here I decided to kill the Rillaboom. It makes sense because Rillaboom, keeping around Rillaboom is not great. Plus, it's very likely to switch out, so I want to catch something in that switch in for big damage. Here, what happens is I get my Pelipper in. Pelipper gets a Hurricane onto the Vivillon, goes down to Sash, which is amazing because Vivillon here was the mon that it would give me a lot of trouble because I only have 1 Spore immunity on the King Gambit, so I can't let it die that easily to a close combat from the Taurus. So he gets the close combat in. Pelipper takes some chip. He's down to 88 HP right now. And Hurricane gets fired into the Vivillon. And yeah, it's going to bring down to Sash. Now here, what I'm thinking is he is Terra Grass on the Taurus. Taurus here can't do much to any of my bombs. Pelipper is on 80 HP. I have some chip on my mans. What I decide to do here is I go for the Hurricane of the Taurus. Yes, it's not going to be it can potentially just not kill, but it's fine because if the Rillaboom decides to switch into that, it's gonna take a massive amount of damage. And the Mance is faster than Vivillon, so I can always Hurricane that slot. And basically he gets in a bit of a trap where whatever he decides to switch something in, it's gonna take a lot of damage. In this case, Primarina is gonna take like 40 to 50% if my memory is correct from the Hurricane. So Vivillon decides to Rage Powder to keep it safe. I decide to Hurricane with my mans. Hurricane is going to kill the Vivillon, and as I said, the Hurricane from the Pelipper should be doing roughly 30 to 40%, maybe half health if it's not super invested. Oh, I actually locked myself into Weather Ball, okay. That is an interesting concept. Why did I decide to do that? Maybe that was just a wrong move. I should have 100% just clicked Hurricane in here. And I think he brings Rilla back in. Yes, he brings Rilla back in. So, a lot of things now. I have Sash broken on my Pelipper, and I have a feeling he's going to go after my Mance, because Mance is the big boy damage that's gonna come out throughout this entire game, which I call. He goes for the fake out into my Mance, and Pelipper is going to Hurricane, is gonna do like 70% to this Rillaboom. Sorry, I crit the Rillaboom. So, a little bit unfortunate on my opponent's end, but even if Rillaboom was still around with 70-ish% health, it would take a lot of damage from the from a Hurricane from the Pelipper on the left slot. And if you decide to U-turn and switch in the Taurus, Taurus would most likely die to the Hurricane because it has it's not super invested into its HP. It has just as little defense, as much defense as Rillaboom does, but it doesn't have an Assault Vest. So what happens is I decide to just click Hurricane into Taurus and Hurricane into the Primarina. Primarina is probably going to take a lot of damage over here, as you guys are gonna see. He protects the Taurus, which is correct because we both know I'm not sure if he knows it's a speed type, but I know it is. And yeah, Hurricane did a very significant amount. Remember, it is +1 SPDF. It did roughly 40 to 50%. It confuses Primarina, which is kind of big, because I think it goes for a Moon Blasting here into the Pelipper, if I recall correctly. Oh, it just gets confused. Okay. Better RNG on my opponent's end for now. But if you went for Hyper Voice, it probably would be a double kill. Being honest, if you went for Hyper Voice, it would have been a double kill, which is kinda bad because I have King Gambit at the back, King Gambit, and I have Archelodon at the back, if I recall correctly. I can't fully remember. I brought King Gambit, Pelipper, King Gambit, I brought Pelipper, I brought... Let me go back real quick. Where am I? 27. Yeah, I brought Arch. So I would get Archie, and Arch would be able to kill the Primarina slot, especially with a double up of King Gambit into another slot, and then once the Taurus CCs is just gonna die to whatever, I decide to click on my Archelodon. Now here what happens is I decide to just click Hurricane in the first slot, click Hurricane with the other. This is correct on my opponent's end. I tend to go for the double protect. They know that they need to have Primarina to get something killed in here, because if it doesn't, it's really bad for them. Primarina is confused. It hits the protect, which I don't agree on their end. I think it's because there's a lost ton of rain as well, which is very weird because he definitely wants rain up to do more damage with the hyper voices. But I understand that the hurricanes are just doing too much damage. He needs to have the rain stopped, which happens right now. But the problem is I have Pelipper up still and alive. What I decide to do here is I decide to just bring the Archelodon in. He needs to click an offensive move in here. I think I click protect. Yes, I click protect. He goes for a Boom Blast on the Archelodon, but being honest, at this point, it's almost game over. I have 4 mons v... It's a 4v1. All I need to do is click Electro Shot. It's gonna do a massive amount of damage to the Primarina, and I decide to bring my Pelipper in. My King Gambit in. And I'm just gonna skip forward. The Primarina lives because of the +1 speed death. Hyper Voice does a lot of damage but doesn't kill King Gambit, but here he just spams Protect while I click Sucker Punch, and Hurricane. And he decides to concede. And he doesn't concede, the Hurricane just Sucker Punch fails, and Hurricane gets a kill. Now skip forward to the next game. This game I'm feeling a little more comfortable with the matchup, and I decide to do bring the same leads. But the way that I don't play the way that I should have played. Back to the lead matchup, he decides to link King Gambit. And this starts to become very awkward very quickly. Because as you guys see, I am giving the fan to the King Gambit. So what I have to do here is basically I decide to switch. I do the play instead of protecting. I decide to just switch out and Hurricane the Taurus slot for damage. The Taurus is most likely going to click CC into the King Gambit. Pelipper is gonna take some chip. The problem is King Gambit gets a Sucker Punch, and Salamence actually lives very low, but it lives. Which is very important. CC connects, and Hurricane connects into the Taurus. Taurus dies. The biggest threat to King Gambit is off the field. But the King Gambit on my opposing end is gonna give me a lot of trouble. +1, he got a Sucker Punch off, Primarina comes in. And here is when it starts to get a little bit tricky. I have both my Pelipper and I have my Mance in range of Sucker Punch. The question is, who does he Sucker Punch? In here, if I recall correctly, I decided to Draco the King Gambit for damage since I want to keep my Terra available and is the highest damaging move that Mance has into the King Gambit, and any damage on King Gambit is big damage. Or yeah, that is exactly the line that I decided to go for. But I think he goes for the sucker on the Pelipper. Unfortunate, that's fine. But because I decided to click Draco Meteor in here, Draco connects. It does 30-40% damage. It's good that any damage on King Gambit is good damage, but Life Orb chip kills, which is a little bit unfortunate. Because I already have like lesser HP EVs than I should. So every time I'm doing clicking an offensive, I'm taking one less point of damage, which comes up sometimes into later on the game. But here it goes. I go with my King Gambit and I go with my Archaludon. I know Archaludon here can kill the King Gambit, but this Primarina actually got to set up. Because the Primarina got set up, Moonblast from it are actually doing a lot of damage, and my King Gambit can quite touch super well. The King Gambit can quite touch super well the Primarina. Bridge gets down to 6-7 HP now. I think I Electro Shot the King Gambit on this turn. I can't fully remember. Or if I go after the Primarina. Yeah, I go after the King Gambit. I kill the King Gambit. I doesn't kill the King Gambit, which is important. Not killing King Gambit is really bad, but like, I lost my Bridge as well. I lost the Archaludon, so I don't really have a way back into the game. Clicking Swords Dance definitely was not the correct play as well. I should have clicked Sucker Punch, but like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Here I get to see that my King Gambit is either speed tying or is faster, which can come up for the next game. But for the next game, this is what I decide to do. I decide to lead the Basque Legion and Pelipper. Why? He will not be bringing Dragapult because of He's not going to bring Dragapult because of the King Gambit. King Gambit puts so much pressure on that Dragapult, especially because it's Terra Ghost. So I decided to leave it behind. And here I decided to bring by King Gambit over the Mens. No real reason, but the real reason is because if he does bring the Vivillon, I want to have at least one mon that I can switch into sleep powders. It's not gonna be redirected. Balance Ward, it is really good into the matchup. It does trigger Defiant, and if I don't have a way to deal with King Gambit very early, or if he has endgame King Gambit, and I have endgame settlements, which would be happening in this game, I will just instantly lose. So I decided to leave Mans behind. I have Hurricane over here, which is gonna do a lot of damage on three of those, on half of this thing. The Vivillon is gonna bring it to Sash. It's gonna do 60 to 70% to the Rillaboom. Is gonna most likely one-shot the Taurus. So this is what I decided to lock in: Basculegion and the Pelipper. And here comes the lead. It's, if I recall correctly, King Gambit and a non-intimidate mon. Let me double check what it is. I can't for Rillaboom King Gambit. Okay. So what happens in here is, yes, the Basilisk is a Ghostmon, but if I decide to Terra by Basculegion, it leaves the Black Glasses Sucker Punch. Cool. Yes, he can double up the Basculegion. He can with Glide and Sucker. But if I decide to click Aqua Jet into Weather Ball, I kill the King Gambit, which is what I think my opponent was trying to read for. But because of Basculegion. Remember, I'm Terra Water on my Basculegion. What here I decide to do is I'm just gonna click Terra Water, Wave Crash. He's going to fake out my Pelipper because I know that Pelipper can, if I decide to click Aqua Jet and Weather Ball into the King Gambit, it's gonna die. And because he was reading the Aqua Jet, he decided to click Tau Cleave, which is why you're going to see the Sucker Punch not coming through. I get, my Pelipper in, it gets the... Sorry, I get my Terra off, my opponent does not Terra, important. Rilla goes for the fake out, gets some chip in, Wave Crash comes out, Terra Water, Wave Crash, in the rain, Trace Bandit, it always kills. King Gambit is down. Now, remember that I said I decided not to bring the Mens in here. So here comes the funny thing. If I had Mens and I came in for the Intimidate, this Wave Crash would do a lot of damage on the Primarina, and I would not die to the Grassy Glide. Well, it would be a roll to kill. Would it be -1? It probably would still be a roll. It would probably be a roll to kill. His AV. Yeah, it probably would be a roll to kill in this scenario. So even if I had Mancini, it would not be correct. So I got my bridge in. Yes, he does glide the left slot, but I get a Hurricane into the Pelipper. In this turn, he decides to Calm Mind. I get Study Broken, but that's not a massive deal because he Calm Minds his turn. I get Grassy Terrain back, and next turn I can Protect by Archaludon to get myself back into 30. Because right now I have 163 HP on my bridge. Okay, so I decided not to protect. He eats Terra Grass on the Primarina. Okay, so what I decided to do is, because because the bridge didn't kill. Okay, so what happens is he's Gross Terra on the reliable. Gross Terra Glide definitively kills the developer here. Yes, he could have Terra Gross the Primarina. Would it be really bad? Yes, it would, because I just invested a lot of resources to get a big E-shot off, and Hyperforce would most likely kill me, Moonblast definitely will kill me. But what he does is he goes for the Glide, into the Pelipper. The Glide will kill the Pelipper, but because I decided to go for Helping Hand, Electroshot, I'm always going to kill this Primarina. So what happened is, and by the way, I didn't read properly the team sheet. I thought this was Terra Fire the entire time on the Pelipper. So that's why I decided to also not Hurricane, because if it decides to potentially Terra the Rillaboom, it doesn't make sense. Nah, it doesn't make sense, this line. But yeah, I get the kill on the Primarina. I get back into study, and funny enough, Pelipper lived. I don't know if he's called to always kill or have a very big chance to kill in this scenario, but it didn't really work out for him at the end. So right now, what happens is, I remember that I said that I only have one Gogglesmon, so I pretty much have to sack my Pelipper, try to break Sash on the Vivillon. I expect my opponent to Sleep Powder my Archalodon and Glide to finish off my Pelipper. And because I don't want to really switch in, there's no reason for me to like catch rain to keep Pelipper alive, or it has done its job. If my opponent decides to for some reason double up into the bridge, the Pelipper stays on the field, which is not a big deal, which is still completely fine. He does go for the Sleep Powder on the bridge. I go for the Hurricane, and he would hammers. Fun fact, I think the wood hammer goes into the bridge we just protected. We'll see that coming now. Yeah, he decides to double up on the bridge. So it was really good on my end to just protect the bridge, because now the Vivillon is threatened. Here now is where I go, okay, I kinda have to switch out my bridge or stay in E-shot and just click double moves, but he decides to quit, and that was the game. So I know this was a long video for today, but thanks a lot for hanging out till now. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and follow me on Twitch, GuiVGC, because I'll be streaming later on this week. Not sure what I'm gonna be doing yet, but I know the team that I'll be bringing, and it's gonna be something very fun and interesting to watch. So catch you guys on the next time. Peace out.